welcome everybody to, I believe, episode 10 of the ArenaLabs PvP podcast. Man, this is going on 10 weeks. This is crazy. I'm your host, Sneakers, joined by my fellow co-host, Crayola. And we have got basically another member of the old Cray Llamas team. We've got Impact on, a fellow thief. This has turned into a thief show.
Impact, yeah.
How you doing, Impact?
Hello.
What? Going all silent on us?
I said hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I picked that up. But yeah, it's turned into the Thief show. I think we've had I play Thief. We've had Illithix come on, talk about Thief. Now we're getting you back on because Thief is without a doubt the best class. All of the classes are terrible. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it is the best. Only the coolest kids play Thief. But we're gonna. How long have you been playing Thief for?
Oh, bloody hell. I think I played Ellie for 1 year, and then after that I got into Thief, and since then just pretty much Thief.
You saw the
Nothing
light.
else really sticks.
You saw the light and was like, "Yep, this is it." So
Yeah.
But yeah. So originally you were on. Cause the way I know you is that you were on the Cray Llamas team, with. Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, so because we had Rye on the, I think it was not last week, the week before, talking about Tempest and his general tips and things. And I remember your play, which when me and Crayola, our previous team, used to come up against you, we used to hate it. That stupid Mesmer and Thief combo you guys used to run, and just everywhere at once. I approve. But at the same time, I hated it. But we're going to kind of pick your brains a bit more on Thief and roaming, because it's your kind of speciality. It's what you play. It's what you main. So it'd be nice to get your thoughts and opinions on the class. So how can I put this in a easy to like Thief in a team environment is one thing I want to know, because we've talked about rotations. We've talked about the art of +1 with Illy. Thief, like helping out your teammates so opening strat, let's say. Opening strat, what is a typical thing for a Thief to kind of go? I know lower ranks, they will say Thief go close, but we all know. So what would you say in ranked or even under team environment?
Thief going close used to be quite popular, because it gives you the advantage in that you can come in later and then you can spike a lower health target. But it's kind of, I mean, the meta's moved away from that. It's more, both teams will pretty much always have a Thief, so you're going to be stealthing up at mid. If the higher up you go, the longer they tend to stealth. They'll keep re-stealthing and try to catch each other with a reveal or something. Or you can stealth up with another roamer and push the far point and try to get a quick kill there. But it's all kind of... It depends largely on the comp, because like before this meta it was very kill oriented, so you'd look to pick up a kill with your 2 higher damage roamers, but now it's more about just as probably what Illy was going on about with the +1ing. It's more about just applying that pressure to get the point.
Yeah, you've definitely hit the nail on the head there. I'd say we are almost pushing a sustain meta. There's a lot of power floating around and a lot of burst, but the side node meta, in regards to side node, is very much sustain. Krill, how do you? Because you're an NG player, you're usually the other guy I+2, or kind of go off to far with. How are you thinking with the side node meta?
Side node meta. So like
like what will the Thief, and I suppose as an NG, any roamer pushing into it is very much a sustain-y.
I don't know. Like literally, I've been playing Thief for 2 months. Shout out to myself. But the main thing that Illithix again has been saying is Shadow Arts on Thief is what makes it right now. Good in a sense where you can just stealth as for long as you want and regenerate, and that's it. Right. So I think that's of course. Of course, Thief is like the main pluser and applier of pressure right now on points. But as well, yeah?
Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead. I'll completely cutting you off.
No.
As per usual.
No, I just think the role has shifted. Like back in the day, definitely Thief was the main close. Like, I don't know how it was in team play. I
More
guess
of a
not.
duelist, would you say?
Mm,
It's had a lot of roles. I mean, I
yeah,
can remember before
SD.
I actually played Thief, there was actually a carry role, where the thief existed to escort the bunker guard from respawn to a point, and then you kind of moved on to the trickery trait line build, which was more about just roaming and roaming with a mesmer. I think at that time mesmers came in.
Yeah,
And that was the method that I really enjoyed, and you mentioned we ran that a bit. We tried to bring it back, but it didn't really work out too great.
Hmm.
So then you had SD, which is more about, because quite often as more the thing that with DP is that you quite often have to disengage, stealth up, then look for that good time to get a burst in. But what if your team can't get a target down low enough, and there's so much AoE flying around that you're not able to really apply consistent pressure off your short bows being countered by an Ellie, for example? Then SD came along, because SD can apply more consistent, sustained pressure, can't it?
Yeah.
But the downside is it gets countered by DP. So you kind of have that. It's kind of a catch-22 situation. What paper scissors?
Okay, so you mentioned obviously there's two types. So because I know SD. Say if you're wanting to push more of a team fight, SD is probably more reliable. It's got a hell of a lot of mobility. You said if they've got AOE, which it's very common nowadays with the meta. It's very much an AOE spam on nodes, especially core guards, man. Symbols, burn guards. It's a lot of core guard. If I'm honest, so it's turned into my most hated class at the moment to come up against, just because it's easy.
Yeah,
And
I had a ranked queue shortly before we started this, and I went to try and res a teammate. The Guardian literally just put a symbol down and left, and I couldn't res him.
wow, I just if that don't
Actually,
show you, wow. That doesn't surprise me. I played Core Guard it was last night. We had me, Illy, Rai. I think it was you as well, wasn't it? In fact, yeah, you were in there, and we had Okami and our teammate, and we all just ran idiot builds. Like you were on core build. We had Riot on core Ellie. I was running the core bunker guard that I've never run in my life, and in a role inside node that I've never done, and it was just put symbols down, dodge, and just basically roll my keep. Oh man, that's going to get into a different rant now, but yeah, dumb build. It's very much symbols go burr. Yeah, go ahead, Krilla.
No, I just remembered you mentioning Mesmer Thief combo, not the burst. Now, Kraylamas, we played against you 2 times maybe, both times coming up against the Power Mesmer, and this was in the middle of this meta a couple months ago actually. So you really don't see Thief Mesmer Power combo anymore, but that used to be the coolest thing in the game to play and to see, because it's so high risk, high reward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to give you props to that comp, because we talked about what from, like you say, the ESL, when it was all big and it looked like the game was actually going to become maybe a decent PvP game before ArenaLabs fucked it. You've got to have something exciting to watch, and for me, the most exciting thing to watch is the incredible portal plays and thieves. Just like if you have a thief and a mesmer ported around the map, just bursting people. Oh, it's so good, man. But yeah,
That's also why I prefer SD, because it just feels more. It's more intense. You're always visible. You're always open.
True that.
Also,
DP is just in the strongest position at the moment.
Yeah. Also, the burst on SD is pretty nutty. To be
I
fair.
mean, me as an NG, hollow meta NG, everybody hates that. If I come across a really good SD Thief, I'm gonna have a lot of trouble. DP no, but SD yes.
Yeah, the evades is pretty nice.
And applies a lot of damage. A lot.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna revert back to because you mentioned when DP struggles when there's a lot of AOE. That's something I've encountered. So during a team fight, if I'm going to say I've already decapped enemies, sent someone to go deal with it, I'm going to push the team fight, make it a 5v4 in mid. If there's like Scourge or symbols being spammed, I find it so hard even to just go, I'm going to try and push that because say if I go in there, I get a Condi bomb just thrown at me. I'm like, right, now I've got to pour out again and I've just got to wait for it. And it's just, by that time, my chunk of health, would you say SD is better for moments like that? Like if you're pushing more team fights compared to a DP?
It's riskier, but yeah, and you need to have I think you need to have a Tempest on your team and perhaps even a Necro as well, because you need to have that that staple team fight duo to be able to, because you're as I say, you're more open. You need that support more often. The shocking auras will be invaluable, whereas a DP thief doesn't need to. It doesn't. I mean, it helps, but it doesn't need to worry about it too much. You know, it can wait it out, just sit on the side, invisible. If it goes in and it just finds all of a sudden there's an NG drops a blind field with its mortar kit, and it just can't hit anything. It just ports back out and waits it out or goes somewhere else. It's a very kind of classic older DP thief style of you rotate in, you try to get a burst. If you fail, you just instantly leave. But the downside with Shadow Arts now, I mean, it's definitely the best one because of the way the meta is more sustained based. Even though your power and your roaming is more sustained based, you apply pressure, get a cap, leave, don't play for a kill. But being in Shadow Arts, you don't have the same damage that you would in your short bow. Whereas before, you could just sit in range and you'd actually be a real threat from range. People would even go so far as to say that short bow was your main weapon.
Yeah, short bow is so good. It like choking gas with a cluster bomb. It's just so good. It can't.
Oh, that's dead now. Yeah, they destroyed choking gas.
Yeah, but it's still good.
Still immob. That's pretty cool.
Oh, what on Sword 2 immob?
Short bow.
Short bow. You don't have immob.
Stealth attack.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Stealth attack. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you
But
meant like normal.
they heavily nerfed panic strike. That was like originally what 4-second immobilize.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty. I like it. I do make use of the stealth short bow quite often if I'm chasing because it is real nice to get someone with. If I don't have Bazzy up, but I think Thief has got so much, especially the DP Thief. It's got more tools available to it compared to SD, and I think the reason is one thing I want to discuss with you today is how DP can offer more to the team than an SD in regards to stealth. So,
and cleanse.
Yeah, and cleanse. I suppose no, you still got the signature agility with the cleanse on SD.
Yeah, of course. But I like maybe the play style. I don't know. I don't play Thief that much, but I've watched a lot of Sin streams regard and a lot of Thieves in general. I think DP, and even I can play it really effectively, not as support, but like to be really observant of who needs help in what moment. You can always somehow bail it with DP because you can interrupt. You have Bazzy if you're running it. You can reflect. You can stealth. You can blind. You can cleanse everything. I think it's really effective DP in peeling for your team.
Yeah. So Impact, what tools does a thief have available to it to say help a teammate out? I know you've got your blinding powder, which is what I personally use.
You mean as a class or just with this one build in particular?
Either or, both. Let's go both. So if you need to switch your build up to help people out, or
Well, I know that it's not really used too much now, but there was a time when people were quite hyped about the new portal. Because Shadow Trap was always quite good, but it was just so unreliable because it was a shadow step rather than an actual teleport. But Portal is quite good. When I was testing that out, I was able to help people get out when they were really low, and they'd say, "Oh, that's so good." They get out, they're in stealth, and if they move to another fight, they've essentially just +1'd it. So it was really great with a Rev, but obviously Rev's not in the necessarily the Herald, I mean, isn't it necessarily in a terribly strong spot at the moment, and the Portal's obviously got nerfed, the thief portal, the nerf was probably necessary in terms of duration, but it's imbalanced now because it can only port one person. Like you can't take yourself and one other. On a slight off-topic note, the Mesmer portal nerf, as you said, not that taking that element of the game away, the portal plays, that was just horrible for the game. That they should
Yeah.
undo that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I keep it at 45 seconds for a Mesmer portal.
Yeah, that would be reasonable. Yeah. But in terms of the thief portal isn't used too much anymore, and also not just because of that, but because of the sunbreak. It if you have to use it to get out and get stealth, you can't go back. So you're out of the fight now, even if you didn't want to be. As opposed to blinding powder, which has the same effect. Stun break, stealth, blind, but it's also not just for you, but also for your allies. And it's quite easy, quite often, especially with the dash now, you can just run up to someone and stealth them to help them get out, or put your pistol 5 down, stealth AoE for longer to help them get out, which is really good. And then you've got, obviously, as you were saying about with interrupts, you've got, aside from that, you've got offensive skills which can actually be used to help. You've got your interrupts, you've got your blind on shadow shot, and if you've got a stolen skill like Skull Fear from the Necro, all the better. You can fear everyone away, give them a good couple of seconds of reprieve.
Yeah, I think peeling as a thief is actually quite underrated. Like, I don't see enough of it when I'm not playing thief and we get a random pug thief in either like say unranked, because I'll only queue as thief in ranked. When I see it, and I don't think I've ever had a peel from another thief unless it's been someone who I'm on comms with or someone who I know. The burst potential that it can just offer on someone, or the steal ability, or just blinding or stealthing, it's crazy. The trick I do in unranked is I ping the person, so I'll put a target above their head instead of like the enemy's head, because everyone sees that big red circle above their head if it's on them, and then I'll start pinging in the chat, like my blinding powder, getting ready, so then at least they have like some sort of idea. Oh, he's coming to get me out. Or calling it out if you're on comms is the best thing for stealth. I don't know if you've got any other sort of sneaky peeling tips, but for people.
I don't. I've given up putting the target on people's head or pinging, because my expectation is they're not going to read it, or that putting a target on their head will just make them angry. So.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, that right there is just ranked in a nutshell. In the current climate, we're on the podcast, we're trying to kind of get through that mentality of like, if you're being a dick and spamming like chat and pinging all over the place, then that's a dick move. But if it's just like you ping the head and then you fire a couple of I just pinged Raya there in chat, but yeah, pinging that, I feel like isn't a big issue. But yeah, like you said, people don't read it, or because I've read in the forums that people go, oh, if you want to enjoy ranked, just turn off your chat. And I'm like, what? Really? You're gonna mute your main form of communication with other players?
Depends on where you are and like on the scale and the rating. But yeah, that's not a bad thing to do. I never almost reach it. Sorry.
There's also the trust element, because if someone tells you to do something, or they draw on the map, it's not just a case of you've seen it. They might know something you don't. Go and do what they're indicating you to do. It's a question of they actually know what they're talking about. Because quite often someone will target you, or they'll ping for assistance or whatever. They want you to come back when you're leaving, and you're thinking, okay, I'll trust it, but at the same time, that other voice in the back of your head is saying, this isn't a good fight for me. I shouldn't be here. I should go somewhere else. And if you go and leave, they're going to rage, and you might even AFK because you're not doing your job from their perspective. And
I think it's if you like you just said there, if you know that it's a terrible decision, don't follow through with it. But if someone like Krill is really good for this, he draws on the map on numbers, or so he writes if there's 3 on far, 1 on the thing, or simple things like I like pinging the buffs and stuff. So on a Colosseum, I'll ping the buffs, or I draw if people are going there, or remind people if we're pushing far and ping like mid and stuff, just as a little reminder. But yeah, you are right, especially as a thief. I got told today in ranked that I should be dueling on far. And I was like, what? And I quote, thief fight on far. That's not decap far, which is usually the fight on far. And I was just, wow, I couldn't. But yeah.
I will say Thief is such a good playmaker. It's the best playmaker, I think. Like, you could do anything. You could get out of any fight, literally. I mean, it's so applicable in any way, you know.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, well, the thief's job in a nutshell is to keep the state of the match in a constant motion. He wants to keep it changing.
Exactly.
The idea is, you don't want to be stuck in a, defend close, team fight mid, because your expectation is that you're going to need to rotate to win.
So you just mentioned something there. The thief's job is to keep it ever flowing, right? And I think that because a lot of people hate thief and the stealth mechanic, and don't like thief in general. I think, hot take here, it is good for the game because it keeps everybody on their toes and it makes people rotate. It forces people to rotate. Could you imagine without a thief, everyone would just run bunker straight up. There wouldn't be any plus ones. It'd just be like, right, let's just run the bunkeriest. Like, yes, that's still a viable thing, but the damage and the stealth and the rotations of thief basically force people to run a bit more offense, I feel, and a bit more mobility rather than slow bunkery comps.
Well, it's still conquest, right? So if you get into a stale fight and like the team, you get a good stale fight, the team, the enemy thief in that sense needs to create this imbalance then to disrupt that state of the point being kept and the fight going nowhere, right? So you want to, like, as you said, you could, of course, ping players and shit like that, but oftentimes they're not. Like, if you typing, you have to be faster. Maybe, like, if you can think 2 steps ahead, you can disengage 10 seconds earlier, and you can be in a fight 10 seconds earlier where maybe another fight where your team would be losing it, and you would be there earlier than otherwise trying to think, okay, what's happening here, or is my team gonna like what? I really think it's about timing, because it still comes down to seconds.
I'll tell you who's really good at that and get it is, I hate it, and I'm gonna call him out again, is Illy. Because I duel a lot with Illy and I play a lot with him, and especially when I'm dueling, he knows exactly what I'm doing. He's like, you're about to pop your heel, and as I'm pressing it, I'm like, he's just said it and I don't want to push it now, but he does it in game, so it's like they're going to be pushing on to far, watch this, and you're just watching it. Impact, I don't know, as a thief yourself, do you kind of have like that foresight of predicting the games as they're flowing?
Sometimes, if it's a comp that makes sense to me, yeah, I can see what they're most likely to do, and I can quite often know where the thief is going to go the moment it's disappeared, whether it's leaving or staying. But quite often, if it's a solo queue game, and the comps are just really weird, like you could have, I had one earlier with 3 revs, and 3 revs and a necro, and it just didn't make any sense to me, and the revs are all team fighting, and if comps like that, I don't really know. I'm not good at predicting exactly where they're going to go, unless there's a discernible pattern by about part way through the game, you start to make sense of what they're doing. If it's all just kind of running around like headless chicken, I can't. Or at least that's what it comes across to me when it's a comp that doesn't make sense. Quite often it just looks like they're just being random.
Ranked as a whole, just that's how I describe it. Run around like a headless chicken.
But that's also a fantastic point. Like, it's really difficult to predict these random comps and players, how everything's gonna move, right? Because even though you think, okay, so them sending this guy to, I don't know, close, our close is the best for them, they may not do that, right?
Yeah. Like you win mid. I think it's happened to me today or yesterday on Temple. You win mid, you go, you look. There's a 1v1 on far, and you go towards it. You think there's no one fighting on close. You want to go close. That's your rotation, is to go push close, take it back. But no one's doing that. So you can't take that 1v1. So you're forced to go far. Your guy is leaving, or is rotated, pulled out a bit to kind of reset, is on half health. you don't know what to do. You want to go close, but you don't know. You have to kind of make a decision that will kind of lead them. You're pressured to lead them in the way that you want to go. Do you go close and hope that they follow you, or or risk going close to them thinking, oh, he's going to handle it, I'll go mid, or do you go into far and say, no, I'm here, we can quickly take this. Don't just drop down to mid and wait around and do nothing. You're kind of, it's another catch-22. You know what you need to do, but you need to kind of cater to the mindset of the person that you're with.
That is a nail on the head. There's a thief's reality of what they should be doing, but at the same time, the thief can only create opportunities if the team acts upon those opportunities. So, like, I've had it quite a few times where I've done the right call as a thief to go decap and leave my team in a 4v4, as we've already got someone down. I'll rotate back to create a 4v5 as someone will come off respawn, and we've got that outnumbered fight. And I'll watch my team, like, either split and then they get wiped, and I'm just like, wow, what the... But the kind of normal competitive and in an organized team, you can do the right rotations, as you can call it out, and you make the right calls, as you said, as you push close with someone, win it back, and then you've holding 2 points instead of pushing on far and overextending. In ranked, the kind of the mentality me and Crayola have is we're going to farm the plebs faster than they can farm our plebs.
Yep.
And it is literally, you try and snowball it as much as you can. If you're in a duo, just go for kills and rock up as many kills as possible with your team. I think that's, for ranked, that's what's worked for me at the lower end.
That's always been the case, by the way.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel on that impact. Ranked thief play versus organized team play?
Yeah, that's why for quite a while I was running Deadly Arts, just because it felt like it was easier to go for the kills. But then there is merit to be had if you got pick players which are good side noders. So you change to another build to accommodate that, and it was working out all right for me actually for a while. But then, as Guardian became more popular, you start seeing people who are running DPS Guardian, so you don't always know whether they're going to actually side node or not. You got a Guardian who, is he going to side node, or is he just going to keep running into the team fight? Same can be said of some Rangers, and even some Scrappers. So it's another case of, you just don't really know. You can't guarantee what your team is going to do, so you can't ensure that you've gone the right way for it. I've seen quite a few last couple of days, quite a few bunker heralds, which makes no sense to me, but they exist.
Oh, it's actually real dangerous. Like, we got caught off guard in the last Delusional Elitist game where our team played terrible, I'm going to be honest. And we didn't by the end of the game we figured it out, and we just weren't rotating and just avoiding the heralds, because they run Dwarf and Herald and Dragon Stance, and it's actually pretty durable, man, with the Menders. It's scary.
Yeah, if you have like a Necro, then that's quite straightforward. But if you're not going to be expecting him to be a bunker herald, you're going to expect him to be a power rev.
Yep. Which exactly what we thought it was going to happen, and we didn't accommodate for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Thief's just in. I think it's always going to be in the meta. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where Thief is not going to be in the meta unless they just completely cook the damage.
Well, it wasn't in the meta for after the first meta after Heart of Thorns was released around January of that following year. It was, I think the comps were, I can't remember, there was either 2 Condi Revs and 3 Chronos, or 3 Condi Revs and 2 Chronos.
Oh, really big variety.
I don't know if you saw it, but basically, the first team that gets a cap, they've won. The other team just give up.
Yeah, because it's Bunker Chrono. Oh, that was so nasty, though. Yeah.
And we haven't got anywhere near that level of individual sustain, thankfully, in this meta. But it is, going back to what you said earlier, it's the same kind of thing. If you take Thief out, because right now the Thief being Shadow, because before Thief and like Mesmer, classes which had a lot of ability, were really good because they could just, okay, we're not going to win this, we're going to go to the other point, and you'd race off and apply your pressure over there, hopefully get a kill or get a cap at least. but everything has got so much mobility now. I've always disagreed with how much mobility Greatsword Warriors have. That never made any sense to me. Revenants have come out, obviously.
Renegades as well. You got the Renegades and Renegade,
yeah. So all these classes now have got lots of mobility. They've even got a lot of evades, and so it's not about being able to race between 2 points to apply the pressure. It's about being deceptive. That's why you've got Shadow Arts, you've got a stealth, and then you've got a head start because you don't know where you're going.
Yeah,
if you take that out, as you said, take Thief out, then you're going to go back into a bunker meta because everything is going to be everything's to be moving around, and you'll know where it's going to be. So you're going to be able to match rotations. So then the things that are holding nodes need to be even more tanky, and you're going to go into another bunker meta.
Yeah,
exactly.
So yeah, all those Thief haters, Thief's good for the game. But yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with sort of exactly what you said there. Thief is good for the game. One thing I'm gonna kind of bring up is Deadeye. Actually, do you play Deadeye?
I've never really given it a fair go, to be honest.
You're a man of culture, then. Rifle. You're a man of culture. That is the only degenerate class. But referring back to what you said,
not the only degenerate.
Yeah, it is. Deadeye can go die in a ditch. It's not.
Is it the only one though?
Yep.
It's obviously from the very beginning. It was obvious that it's going to be easy to counter. If it comes into the meta like full force, it's just going to get hard countered by things like Tempest. And sure enough, that is actually I think what happened. It started to make more of an appearance, and then you got Tempests coming in with their focus, and shortly thereafter it vanished, and you had Core SD, and then after the damage nerf, DP Daredevil.
Yeah. So I'm going to refer you back to what you said with as the ArenaNet do. We're going to touch a little bit on balance. We're not going to talk completely on it because it's a touchy subject among things, and feelings get hurt. But what you said is a lot of because originally, in order to innovate, they need to add things to classes essentially in order to make the game feel fresh instead of just having core forever. Which I like new stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I like having new stuff. It's great. Like pressing new buttons and doing new skills. If they went to, because in order to innovate, it's like they've got to bring new stuff to the classes, and if they go in, they don't want sustain, they don't want too much damage. Let's give them more mobility, and it's trying to find a new play style. I do have a little bit of sympathy for game designers because they're never going to get it right, but if they need to lean into the play styles of each class. So Thief needs to be the king of mobility. If you start giving everyone else mobility, it creates the bunker meta. If you made Thief have, say, a ranged ability, it's like Deadeye. It's just like why? It's not meant to have a ranged ability. That kind of
thieves need to get up close to steal.
Thieves need to get up close and backstab and steal and things like that. Instead of takes out the point of a ranger longbow, for example, or even so the shadow steps. It's just like, why can a guard shadow step? I can understand the Revenant with Shiro because Shiro was an assassin in Guild Wars 1, but I don't know how you think about that impact. Is from a game design point of view, do you think?
As I've kind of hinted at, I hate the fact that everything has got so much mobility now. There should only be, one or two classes which have enough mobility to match each other, to go racing around the map. Otherwise, you get into you can just match everyone's rotations, and nothing really changes. The state of the game doesn't really change. It just moves. What is happening just kind of rotates to another point.
This is what on my big wish list. I've said this I think in previous episodes. Is a role system similar to League of Legends, where if you're queuing as a Mesmer or a Thief, you are queuing as a Roamer. Shit bust. It's I don't know. How would you feel about that?
I put a post on the back when I actually used the forums years ago. I put a post up about how an idea of how to kind of improve the matchmaking system, base it on the stats of people who are queuing. Like look at their amulet, look at their runes, based on their stats, determine what role they are, and try to match people accordingly. Because as I said before, you can get a rev queuing and you can expect them to be power, but they're not power. They're actually going to be playing bunker, and that would kind of help that situation a bit.
Yeah,
But that's obviously not happening at all.
that's actually a really. I never thought. I was thinking like you queue up as. So say if I'm a thief and I queue up as a support, I'm expected to be the support thing, and I'll get flamed at if not. But I think that way, say if you were queuing as a support, you should have menders on, and only a certain few classes should be allowed to do it. That I would like to see stricter guidelines, especially for ranked.
Yeah, you basically that is a huge goes a huge way to solving it. So the two main things are that yes, we want to have build diversity. We want people to be able to play whatever they want so they can have fun. But at the same time, not everyone has that kind of. Not everyone really plays the meta game, do they? They just want to. They want to let other people decide on the meta and then just take whatever the build is, whether they understand why or not. And these builds can be basically anything for any specialization. And so they think, oh, I like that, I'll play that. And the fact that there's so much diversity, it's yes, this might be the best build for that specialization, but overall, it's not really worth playing.
Yeah. So
there's just too much freedom. There needs to be more stricter controls. And the other reason is the other thing, as you say about making the game fresher, adding things to it. There's some things you can add which aren't really helpful. Like the best game, in terms of competition, being competitive, is they're simple. They've got simple mechanics, and it's easier to judge skill and easier to actually, you don't have to spam things. You can actually read what's going on and react to it. But we've got things that have been added to the game that no one really wanted. Extra mobility, things like torment, confusion, and what's that other thing that just vanished from my head?
Poison, burning, immob.
No, not all those kind of condies, but things that they've added, which just adds clutter to the game. Just makes it harder to read situations and actually get a clear skill versus skill situation.
Yeah, video game visual diarrhea. That's what I call it when there's too much shit going on the screen. You can't tell what's going on. But yeah, it's a tough one to balance because we all want that idea of. We want good matchmaking. That is based. I think that's what I hear more rants about than anything. Especially, because nothing's worse. My suggestion would be to get a balanced format of formatted roles, and you go, right, you are queuing as this role, you will go in as this. And yes, they go, oh, but we want a mixed build diversity up. Leave that to the teams to create. Leave that. So if you want to run a triple Roma comp, get 5 people, run that in an AT. That's where it needs to be encouraged. But there needs to be a standardized kind of role set in play on how a game, because that way it teaches people how to play essentially, because the game does a shit job of it. Like say in League, right? I'm going to refer things back in League. They have the set roles. You have your two bot lanes. You have support and an AD carry, ADC. I'm not that good at the game. I don't really know much about it. You have a jungler. You have a mid lane and a top lane. I've seen teams run off meta heroes in different roles to catch people out, and they run different team comps to catch people out as an organized team because they can do that. If you do that but as you go in a solo queue, for example, you're expected to queue as one of the champions or the classes or the roles that fulfill that job that you're queuing up as. If you're going as a support, you're expected to be a support, and the game kind of flows well because everyone knows, oh, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, that's my job, instead of I'm going to queue as a burn guard and run round like a headless chicken.
Yeah, makes you think of those games where you go in, you've got enemy team's got a thief, you're playing thief, you've got a mesmer, and they look to be power, but you've also got a tempest and necro. You think, okay, I've just got to help. I've just got to make sure that my mesmer doesn't die and doesn't get focused down by the thief. So you look to rotate with the mesmer, and you think we should be okay. But then partway through the game, you discover that your tempest is actually running scepter, and so everything falls apart because you're expecting them to be a solid duo in the team fight, and they're just completely. The comp that you're playing is actually. The strategy that you're playing is completely wrong for your comp. You should be zerging and trying to spike someone down with everyone instead of running around with a mesmer.
Yeah, so that'd be way better if you just like if it had a little thing next to your name where it'd be like Team Fighter, Roma, and it'd be like, so what are you queued as? Because that makes so much more sense. At least then you could be like, okay, I know what we're doing. We've got 2 Team Fighters on our team. We've got 2 Romas on our team. Instead of being like, okay, we've got a Tempest, brilliant, we've got a support, let's push the Team Fighter, and it turns out they're like some whack-ass bunker build or something.
Yeah. You can try it yourself to some extent, like Guardians, for example. You can go right next to them and angle your camera to try and see what weapon they've got. But then I don't do Fashion Wars too much, so quite often there'll be some skins which I can't tell whether it's a scepter or a mace.
Oh, it's
and if you ask them, they're not going to answer, are they?
Yeah, because chat's turned off. Oh man,
that's a big problem. Like, that's such a good point. That there needs to be more restriction. There needs to be clearer guidelines as to what's going on in the game. Like, you can have all the knowledge of the game you want, but you still don't know what exactly is going to happen in the game. Like, and you have all of this different skill rating come into play. So I think that's a really good point. It needs some boundaries in that sense.
Especially in ranked. In unranked, let it be for a free for all and just focus on quick games. But in ranked, I'd happily queue for 5 minutes to get a balanced game. I don't know about you guys.
No problem. I mean, anybody that says different, it doesn't really matter because that's still such, like, you're still spending 15 minutes in the game, you know? Like, if it takes 5 to queue up, fine, you know?
Yeah,
don't be so fucking, you know, like, don't, like, it's people getting butt hurt over the internet not connecting fast enough. You know? That's a Louis C.K. bit, by the way. The signal is going to space and back, you know? Like, give it some time, you know?
Yeah, I see I saw someone post on the forums. It was one in a million sensible posts which gets shut down quite quickly by people going, no, you're wrong. But I thought it was right. ArenaNet, if you are listening, you need to look at the long term, okay? Fix it. People don't like the matchmaking, and that makes them leave. If you try and just go, okay, we'll fix the matchmaking for the current state, it's not going to really do. You need to look long term and start going, if we fix it for a long term thing and make it healthy for the long term, players will come back and it'll be a healthier population. If you like try and fix it with a plaster or a band-aid, just by covering patches, playing whack-a-mole, oh, there's a problem, and then fix it 6 months later, nothing's going to get done. But if you kind of go, let's make some actual changes to the system, which will benefit it in, like, say, 2 years to come, or even a year to come, then the game will thrive.
True.
That's not even strictly game design consideration. I mean, you don't even need to think about game design for that. That should be on the norm for them, because it's a fundamental principle of software development, is to be able to reuse something. Why make it so it only applies to now when you can make it such that it works for the years to come?
Yeah. Hopefully ArenaNet's listening to this budget podcast and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I imagine someone has said it there, but it's just for the best combat mechanic, like the combat system in any MMO, they're squandering it, and I don't want to finish this on a rant, because what we need to do is just have an episode where we just go off on one Crayola. That's what we need.
No, dude, I mean, we could.
An hour-long episode of just us swearing.
I mean, it does. You know what? Maybe we should record it while queuing.
No.
Dude, maybe that will be the testament.
A live podcast episode while queuing. Oh no, I can't. I can barely multitask, dude. I'm not doing that.
No, like I'm just saying.
But yeah,
the attitude of the players is dwindling, definitely, for years now, and that's no joke. Like, this is the best game for many of us players that are still playing this. It is the best mechanical game ever, the most fun game, especially if you have a team environment when you're dueling, practicing and whatnot, build crafting. But it needs to be encouraged more. It needs conversation. This is what we're trying to achieve with the fucking podcast. But I think the lack of communication is the first problem, if we're talking about ArenaNet. and that's always been an issue, and it's never been fixed. So
we can live in hope.
that's the only thing we can do.
Yeah, well, us as a community, we'll fix your problems, ArenaNet. We'll host some good games for you in the in-house leagues. Shout out to us.
We're not doing it for them. We're doing it for ourselves.
Yep. And Impact's always there on time. Shout out to Impact.
It's just a bonus, that we have this great game that a lot of people are willing to still talk about it and play it and teach. It's nice to have a community.
Yeah. Speaking of in-houses, every Sunday we host in-houses, hosted by us guys, and we have Ilithx casting them, calling out all our poor decisions and terrible mistakes, and also praising us on our good decisions, and explaining in detail what's happening, which is always nice.
Yeah, it's creating conversation, gameplay, team competitive encouragement.
And I don't know, Impact, because you've been there from pretty much the start in most games. How are you finding the in-house leagues?
I enjoy them because it's a nice change from just solo queuing, and it goes back to, I used to enjoy solo queue before this current ranked system because it didn't matter. You'd actually be looking forward to going against people who are way better than you because you haven't got anything to lose. You just learn from the experience and have some fun. But now it's really, you've focused really too much on the points and the rating system, not necessarily because you care too much, but because it's annoying to have people hold it against you if you don't get to a certain position. But doing it in a custom arena takes that negativity out, and it's quite enjoyable. It's more relaxed. The only downside is sometimes it takes a bit too long to actually get a game started.
Yeah, but that's because that's the thing of having an actual dedicated matchmaking system, is that it can organize people for us. We just have to try and organize the rabble of trying to make the games as even as possible instead of just stacking all the best players onto one team and just steamrolling. But I think the games we do have are quite interesting, and we've tried some interesting comps as well, which is nice.
I mean, it's set up now. From the beginning, the idea of this was to get it rolling, so that there's a continuation of these games and this commentating and gathering, basically, of players. And it's been going down for 10 straight weeks now. So
yeah. So if people are wanting to get involved, you can hit us up in game or on our Discord. It is pretty. We try and open it to everyone. There is sort of a certain skill limit. Like, you need to know relatively what you're doing with your roles. But you can ask for advice and things like that. If you have no clue of PvP, I'd recommend heading over to the Welcome to PvP Discord, which Tricon owns and set up. Brilliant place for knowledge. You can come watch the games and get info, and then if you go, yeah, I feel like I want to give it a go, hit us up and we'll get you in the games. And then you've also got good players like, say, Impact. You've got Illy, you've got Feifei, you've got the whole range of good players. You could just simply ask, can you just watch my point of view and tell me what I'm doing wrong? And I'm pretty sure, I know I would do that. I ask for that sometimes. I get better players than myself to look over my gameplay, so it's a good system.
Yeah.
If you're a thief, you could ask Impact to call out your mistakes, because that's how we all get better. Sorry, Impact, I've just thrown your services right out there. You're gonna have to do it now. No. But other shout outs. So we've done Welcome to PvP. I know if you have got a team or you want to organize a team, there is Delusional Elitists. They're hosting a monthly tournament now. It was going to be weekly, but I think it was just too hard to get it organized weekly. If you get 5 players together, it is aimed at sort of a reasonable level towards grassroots as well. So if you've never won a Gizmo, you can get involved there. Hit up Halden in the Delusional Elitists guild, which is Teapot's guild. He's organising it all, so if you've got 5 people, get involved with that. It was good the first time. Our team came last. Woo! But no, it was really good fun. There's some good teams entered, and it encourages team play. And
it's really good that more is going on.
Yeah, there's some big rewards as well. So, and it's good experience, and it's better for the community instead of just screaming in unranked and ranked. I think that's all the shout-outs. I'm trying to think of. I'm pretty sure there's one more, and I'm gonna hit myself afterwards. We've done in-house. We've done the thing. I think that's it.
What about that sneakers guy?
Oh, he's douchebag. Yeah, absolutely
fair
awful. Yeah, don't. If you see him in game, rage at him. Tell him he's a bad thief. Always. Yeah, thief decap far. But I think we covered a lot today, guys. Impact, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you, Impact. You really came up with some really good points right there. I'm definitely gonna listen to this again.
But yeah, every Monday is when we try and release the podcast. And see you guys next week.